Say go DJ, cause that's my DJ. Say go DJ, cause that's my DJ. If the Chicago Bears want to act like they just won their Super Bowl, I can't even blame them. I'm gonna let them have their day and I'm gonna let them have their weekend because it's breaking a 14-game losing streak. It's been over 300 days since the Chicago Bears got to celebrate a victory. DJ Moore, Justin Fields, everyone you saw on the football, Equinemius St. Brown, Roshan Johnsons of the world, having a celebration in a very good time. And I think this was a good win against a Washington Commanders team who we're going to talk about as well. But I think that as we get further into it, we look at week 5 and we're learning a little more about these teams more and more and more. And I think I'm learning some things about the Commanders, which I didn't really think was the case for that team. However, though, I want to start with the positive, but we also got some things that we're going to talk about in the totality and for the future of the Chicago Bears, because I don't think that you win this game. I don't think that in the long term, this changes a lot of what we're going to look at. But let's talk about the positive first. Big time win. DJ Moore, Justin Fields, everything that happened. Khalil Herbert getting some big time runs. Let's look at it. 15 of 29 for Justin Fields. 282 yards, 9 per 7 per pass, 4 touchdowns. Took 3 sacks, and we're going to talk about that as well. But when I look at Justin Fields and what I'm seeing in this collective body of work, 5 games. You have the 2 solid performances. I think you looked pretty good last night, but I look at the Denver game, a pretty solid performance. And what I'm thinking is that this is a guy who you're going to have to take the good with the bad. I've just come to that point for Justin Fields. It's not year 1 anymore. It's not year 2 anymore. And I'm expecting him to take a jump and really change a lot of the things I see within his game. But I think this is who he is. I think he's a guy that can throw the football. Now, those touchdown passes were absolutely beautiful. Let's talk about it. It was a cover 2 look on the first one to DJ Moore, right in the hole shot. Touchdown, DJ Moore. And that second one, it was a defender all draped over DJ Moore, and then he still got the football to him in the back corner of the end zone. Those were pinpoint accurate passes, and I really like the touchdown pass to Cole Kmet. Now, that last one, I think that's DJ Moore making a big-time play on that hitch route, and then really, they're going man coverage to 0 behind you, trying to come down and bite on that. That's a gutsy play. Now, if he makes the interception and he goes 6, everyone's celebrating him, saving the day for Washington. I thought that when they had an opportunity, it was 30-20, and they missed that field goal. Then you come back and DJ Moore gets that touchdown. That's game over. You can go ahead and take it home after that one. So I look at all of that happened, and I say, okay, I'm looking at the totality of the game, but I thought the biggest thing I saw, and I have no confirmation to say this, but it's no way Luke Getsy was calling those plays. It's no way that offense was humming like it was humming, and Luke Getsy was behind that. From what I saw in this body of work in these 5 games, I saw balance. I saw offense. I saw good play calling and good route concepts overall, talking about everything in which I saw. Now, when I think I'm seeing the balance, I want to talk about the misdirection quarterback runs. I want to talk about the read option runs, getting Justin Fields involved in the running game and designing it, not just letting him scramble out of the pocket. These were plays where he was supposed to run the ball. You go with a fake toss and then you take it with the quarterback, get some pullers in front of him, you run the football. And even on the bobble snap, it was one bad snap by the center. He caught the football. It was about 2nd and 6, still went for the first down. Seeing things like that. And I thought that with the misdirections, it's just creativity. It's getting an athlete in space. Even though he's your quarterback, he has to get the football. He has to run the football when the opportunity is presented by the defense. And then I think that Khalil Herbert on the ground had 10 carries, 76 yards. That's 7.6 per carry. I think that looking at the totality of his game, he had a long of 34 yards, so that was the big time run in the first quarter. Then after that, kind of some solid runs, pretty much with the balance, but he's getting some nasty yards. You got Kyrie Blasingame, a guy who's been a fullback for the duration of his career with the Tennessee Titans. He's getting carries out of the backfield. Roshan Johnson got a couple carries, and I think that keeping the run game consistent, we have to think last year, although this is a different team, you have some different personnel, this was a team who predicated their entire offense off of the run game. Having a David Montgomery, some of the different guys in the backfield, that is what we were used to based off of last year. And I think that the run game hasn't been able to get going where you're getting 200 yards per game. You're getting close to 300 yards per game. But I think that last night you get 178 yards on the ground. That is what you want to continue to do. And if you can run the football and get the football to DJ Moore, I think you will be solid offensively. Now, I do want to see more spread. I want to see creativity within the other guys in the offense. Looking at Darnell Mooney, I thought that It was a touchdown Darnell Mooney could have had. Justin Fields missed him on that one down the field. But as we can see, Equinemius St. Brown, 0 catches. Really outside of Cole Kmet, Robert Tonyan had 2 catches. DJ Moore, those are the only guys who caught passes. So I want to see you spread that out just a little bit, because it's going to be games where you go against guys who are elite at the cornerback position and who are going to say, we're putting everything in our basket to stop DJ Moore. Show me what you got. So I think in that situation, he has to get more through his progressions, more through those different types of things. And with the timing, I didn't think the timing was perfect last night, but I really liked the accuracy. I thought that he had velocity behind the football. When he made a read, even if he was just a tick late, he got the football in that window. So that's something you have to see. But I think overall, you look at Justin Fields, you're going to have to take what you can get, because he's going to be a guy who I'm steady waiting for that development. I'm steady waiting for that next step. And not saying as a player, but really from a mechanical standpoint, from a progression standpoint, a mental standpoint, from the quarterback position. And I'm just not seeing leaps and bounds of development, but I'm still seeing a good player. So let me know that down below in the comments. If you're a Chicago Bears fan, are you satisfied with Justin Fields still? Are you thinking about Caleb Williams? You're thinking about a Drake May in the back of your head, a Shedeur Sanders, a Michael Penix Jr. Do you think this is a guy who's really, I don't want to say stuck in his ways, but do you think that this is the most you'll get out of him? And he has these good games like this, but can he make it consistent? That's something I want to think about. And then I take it defensively. Looking at some of these guys, TJ Edwards had a big-time game. He had a sack, 10 tackles. Tyreek Stevenson making some big-time plays, had a pass deflection, had the pass interference. I believe that was in the first half. But really outside of that, wasn't a terrible game from Tyreek Stevenson. Greg Stroman. We talk about game balls. I think that's a guy that has to get a game ball. Looking at everything he did, he had an interception. He had a sack, a pass deflection, everything he did on the football field. He was a guy who hasn't played a lot of football due to injuries and different types of things. But now getting into the lineup, because you have a Kyler Gordon hurt, you have some of the different things working with guys having to step up in the secondary. Greg Stroman was a guy who got his opportunity and he cashed in. So I'm seeing that. I really like that from him. And I think outside of that, Terrell Smith, pretty solid game. He's another rookie in the lineup. These rookies in the lineups making big time plays. But I think one thing I do want to point to though, with the defensive line, I'm looking at the sacks. They have 5 sacks. You got Rasheem Green getting one, Yannick Ngakoue getting one, DeMarcus Walker. I really like the sack that he got on Sam Howell. But talking about the Commanders though, because I think what we've seen out of them, I'm not going to say they're a terrible team, but I don't think they've been able to put together entireties of football games. I look at the Denver Broncos game. Think about it. The Denver Broncos were up by 20 plus, and then they come back roaring in the second half. And then look at it. Chicago Bears, they were up by 20 plus, and then the Washington Commanders, they come back, they make a run, they get it to a 10-point game, and they have an opportunity to make the field goal. They don't make the field goal, and then things kind of get out of hand from there. But I'm seeing in the second half, it's going to be getting Sam Howell the easy completions, starting him off where he can get into a situation where he doesn't have to drop back. The guy went 37 to 51. That's way too much passes for a rookie quarterback. And understanding on the ground, couldn't get anything going. I'm seeing Brian Robinson, the only running back who got a carry, 6 carries for 10 yards. Now, I understand when you get behind in a game like this, you kind of have to push up the tempo. You kind of have to push the football down the field. And I think Sam Howell, for what it's worth, did a pretty solid job of that. But also, a lot of people may talk about the offensive line. I think he was accredited to some of those sacks as well, because you're trying to make that big time play. You're hunting things. You don't let go of the football. Sometimes you got to throw it away a little bit. And I saw a guy holding on to that football, didn't want to really let it go, or sometimes he's trying to scramble and create within the pocket. He's running into sacks. There's a perfect example, the Yannick Ngakoue sack. Charles Leno, the left tackle for the Washington Commanders, he had no business getting that sack, Yannick Ngakoue. And then you step up in the pocket if you're Sam Howell trying to make the big time play. Now you're going down. Now your left tackle is looking like he gave up a sack, but it really wasn't the case. So I think when I look at that, and Sam Howell, they had opportunities in the first half. He missed a touchdown to De'Ami Brown. Had De'Ami Brown down the football field, overshot him. His deep ball looks pretty solid, but you got to get that thing a little more accurate. And then I look at it. He also had a deep shot to Jahan Dotson, where that was actually somebody jumped off sides for the Chicago Bears, and they had a free play. He went down the football field with it. Didn't get it, though. So I'm thinking about the totality of that game. Defensively, I think that We see that you draft Emmanuel Forbes. We see that you still got St. Juice. I think that you're trying to build something within the secondary, but right now, the secondary is struggling a little bit. And you look at a pass rush, you look at a Montez Sweat, you look at a Chase Young. I thought Chase Young had a pretty solid game, especially in the second half. He was making Larry Bourne work for it. But in the totality, Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen, I thought that Justin Fields really had all day to throw the football. And it kind of worked against him a little bit because when he took those 3 sacks, it was times where he could have let go of the football. He's trying to create a little something. He's holding on to the ball entirely too long. Nothing's down the field. And because the protection has been solid all day, now he's taking that sack, thinking he has more time than he does. So there's some things that you can clean up, but I think overall there's a foundation in Washington because defensively, they're going to get it together. If you think about the secondary, you think about the corners, you think about the edge rush, I don't know where they're going to go from here, but I do want to say if they can play their entirety of a football game, if Sam Howell can continue to develop, he hasn't looked terrible thus far. He just has had some turnovers and some really tough moments, so that's something I got to look at for him. And then I think defensively, like I said, you want to continue to build. You want to build a total game because I thought in the second half, you looked pretty solid, but in that first half, giving them guys all time to throw, not stopping the run defensively with your front seven, and then DJ Moore killing it. Defensively, you got to say no. If you're the Washington Commanders and you're seeing DJ Moore doing what he's doing to your secondary, you got to switch the coverage. You got to lean everything and shift it to his side because, like I said, outside of that, there wasn't much targets. Robert Tonyan, Cole Kmet, two tight ends and a receiver. That was the receiving game for the Chicago Bears. So let me know what you think about this game because I think that it was a pretty solid game, but I do want to jump just a little further and talk about something else. What does this mean for the future of this team? Because I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, Justin Fields, the past 2 weeks, he's looked pretty solid and he looked really good last night. But I'm still thinking. I still have some things running in my head because I'm looking at that draft order. I'm looking at guys like Caleb Williams. I'm looking at guys like Marvin Harrison Jr., Dallas Turner, Joe Alt. And I'm thinking that, do they still want to go in that direction? And when I say do they still want to go in that direction, are they going to scapegoat somebody? And Matt Eberflus is looking like he's going to be that guy right now. What we're seeing, and I thought that Matt Eberflus from a coaching standpoint, if we're going to talk about it, I thought early on, he had a decision where he could have went for it on 4th down, kicked the field goal to go up 10-0. He had a decision early on where he could have went for it again, kicked the field goal, go up. So I'm seeing that, okay, we learned a little bit from week 4, and I think that's huge for him. But we understand with a guy. And I think there's going to be some really good guys coming into candidacy for head coaching positions next year. We got some offensive coordinators. I think about the Houston Texans offensive coordinator. I think about the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, probably the guy who's probably in the driver's seat to get a job like this because you have a lot to work with. You have the draft capital, a pretty young team. But when I talk about it, I think that is Justin Fields going to remain a Chicago Bear? Do you go the quarterback route? And if you move Justin Fields, what do you get back for him? If you get off Matt Eberflus, I think there are some guys who you can replace and try to get an offensive mind. Because if you're going to bring in a rookie quarterback, if you're going to keep Justin Fields, bring in an offensive mind and get a defensive coordinator on your staff, not the head coach. Matt Eberflus, he's a defensive-minded guy. And also one thing I do want to talk about, it's the possibility that you can flip some of these picks. You have all this draft capital. If you stay with Justin Fields, what could you possibly move that 1 or 2 or top 5 pick? What could you possibly flip that into? Because, okay, say you get Marvin Harrison Jr. or you get Joe Alt, you get Olu Fashanu, you get one of those tackles, or you get a defensive end in Dallas Turner, Jared Verse. You do that, okay. Now we're feeling pretty good, but we don't need that quarterback. Can we flip that, get 2 extra first-round picks? Can we get a first down the line and get a first in the 2026 in the 2025 draft? Is that something we could potentially look at and do? There's a lot of different possibilities working within my head. So I think that Justin Fields, past 2 games, looking at the body of work, looking pretty solid. I don't know where they take it from here, but I think you have so many possibilities. It's still some things that you want to see. I'm not saying that this game has saved Matt Eberflus, but last night when you have the game that you have, you coached the game like you coached it up. I'm looking at some of those things as well. Defensively, getting after it, pass rush, got an interception, forced the fumble on Logan Thomas, the tight end for Washington. So you do all of that, and I'm saying, okay, you're working with something. But in the totality of the season. How far can the Chicago Bears go? Do you really want to flip it? Is Ryan Poles, is he a guy who's in the hot seat? Is the general manager? I think those are things that are working in my head, and I want to know, Chicago Bears fans, what are you thinking in the comments? What do you want to do? What is your ideal movement out of this game into the offseason and going in the next season? Do you want to have Fields? Do you want to have Matt Eberflus as well? Do you want to have Fields and a Ben Johnson? Do you want to have Fields and one of those different offensive coordinators we're seeing around the league? Do you want to get Caleb Williams? Get a Marvin Harrison Jr. Get one of those tackles or those defensive ends, or maybe even a Brock Bowers, just throwing names out there. But so many possibilities. Where do you go from here? And I'm going to leave the video with that because I think that it's something I want to talk about in the comments. It's something I'm probably going to make another video on. But don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Chicago Bears fans, you earned this victory. Washington Commanders, I think that you still have some things to look forward to. You're only 2-3. Get it together. Play 4 full quarters of football, and things will start to look better for this football team. The New York Giants are struggling right now from a record aspect and from an on-the-field aspect. So if you can get into that third spot and you find yourselves getting into a wild card position, making the playoffs, you have to feel pretty good about that. All is not lost for the Washington Commanders. Really solid game in the second half last night, but in the first half, cannot start like that. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. That's going to do it for today's show. And now, we out.